FIU, 4.5 wins. Now, FIU brings back the same exact coaching staff, correct?
Yes.
Same exact coaching staff. Also, did you guys see a couple pass rushers in the portal?
Yes.
Couple pass rushers in the portal.
They had one of the better portal hauls of a team in the Conference USA, I would say. They did do a very good job getting Walls. I thought that was great. And like you said, same coaching staff that has gone 4-8 each of the last 2 seasons. So that's something. They were 1-7 in conference play last year. They are, and I will give them credit, they are preseason ranked 8th in the conference. That's pretty solid for a team that's gone 4-8 the past 2 seasons. So I think they are room for improvement because of their additions, definitely. But yeah, I don't know if anybody else had any general thoughts.
Yeah, I have a few. It's not so much. All right, go ahead, Scoop.
No, I think. I mean, you were saying he's 4-8. I know. I mean, but he's a great recruiter. I mean, if you saw his pass with Colorado and San Jose State, Matt McIntyre, it takes a couple years for them to improve. They both did in the third year for Colorado and San Jose. Third year at FIU, they have 14 returning starters. Their quarterback's going to be one of the best in the league this year. Keon Jenkins, he committed to Auburn. Now he's here. Anytime you get an Auburn recruit, even though he, got discarded, it's fine. He's a great QB, and him under center the whole year is going to be huge for them. And not only that, they, like you said, they got Giovanni Davis, a lineman from in the portal. They got what's his name?
Naz Burris.
Yeah.
I think we're going to start with defenses, but I definitely have a lot of thoughts on their offense. Let's do their defense first.
Well, first scroll down to returning production, please, Prop Beaver. Just 2 graphics down. Let's get that on the screen. Returning production is favorable for FIU. They're 34th in the country in returning production, 20th offensively, 69th defensively. They're bringing back 14 starters, 8 on the offensive side of the ball, including the quarterback, Jenkins, who
is going to be good.
I don't know about good, but
he's going to be good.
He has nice looking. Okay, here's what I'll say about Jenkins. His numbers look a lot better than how he looked on screen. Because if you look at his numbers, they'd be like, oh, this freshman was slinging it. And then you watch the game and it's like, oh, this kid can't really throw the ball. Yeah. But he was putting up some numbers and he took over the job mid-season. I think, it was only like week 2 or 3, but there was a brief period there. You probably want to scroll down to the game, the 2023 season. It's like all the way at the bottom. So they can see the games, because I'll show them exactly what game they're talking about here. It was that game. Well, he played the FCS game against Maine, but then North Texas, they beat North Texas. They were like 10.5-point dogs in that game, and then they went on the road and beat UConn.
Yeah, they started off really well, and then
so the first 3. So this freshman Jenkins takes over at quarterback, and FIU was 3-0 with him. They were 3-1, but he didn't play against Louisiana Tech. So they were 3-0 with this freshman. And then, shit got ugly. I mean, they saw Liberty. Liberty was a steamroller last year. So
Mexico State, too. They're
on the road in New Mexico State. And that UTEP game is deceiving. It says 27-14 they lost. The UTEP quarterback, both of them were ruled out. You remember that game, Andy? And
that was a weird one.
UTEP put in their 4th-string quarterback, so I'm assuming FIU game plan to stop the run, and he came out was throwing bombs in the first quarter.
That's what's his name? The Cade McDonald, right?
Yeah, he's the starter.
I remember that. Yeah.
He came in. He was the 4th-string quarterback. He came in and threw 3 touchdown passes in the first quarter, and they were like bombs. So I think that if you take away that first quarter, that was just weird. That game, 27-14, it doesn't even look like that. So I think that's deceiving too. I like FIU this year. I'm considering over 4.5 wins, honestly.
I think the offense is interesting because, like you said, I was in lockstep with you. He looked better than he actually was. Like, the numbers look better. He threw for over 2,000 yards or whatever. But I think part of that, and I think you have to look at subtractions as well. They're FIU, so you knew they were going to lose their number 1 receiver. The number 1 receiver had 1,100 yards. Mitchell, he went to Notre Dame. They had their next highest receiver, and he's coming back, had 400, so they're going to need him to step up. They brought in a receiver, but it's a guy from Stetson. You never really know how a receiver from an FCS school is actually going to translate coming into the FBS because you have no idea what they were facing in terms of secondaries at Stetson. So I think he looked better than he was is the way that I would also put it. I think he'll be fine. I don't know if I'd categorize him as a top tier in the conference. He'll be solid. I just don't know if they have enough weapons around him for him to make a leap that they're a significantly better team. I mean, you're looking at a team that's been consistently 4-8, and you want them to jump that, and you include the fact that they have a pretty, I think, difficult. I mean, it's not an easy schedule under any circumstances. It's not hard, but it's definitely not winnable. They don't have any FCS games that you're like, oh, that's an easy one.
Well, I think there's a couple. I think there's a couple games on their schedule. Can you pull up their schedule, please, Prop Beaver? There's a couple games on their schedule that I don't think people realize are winnable. First of all, at home against New Mexico State, that's winnable. New Mexico State lost everybody. They're 128th in returning production. 128. New Mexico State's going to be gutted. So a home game against New Mexico State. What does New Mexico State even look like without Pavia, without 4 offensive linemen, without 8 offensive starters on defense? What do they even look like? I actually think it's 6 offensive. 8. They lost 8 defensive starters. I was right. So they lost 8 defensive starters. Diego Pavia is on Vanderbilt now. So what is this? I don't. New Mexico State at home? That's winnable. In fact, I FIU money line. Let me take it right now.
They have a couple of games where they're gonna probably beat Monmouth. They're definitely gonna beat.
Probably
Monmouth.
gonna beat.
They're definitely gonna beat Monmouth. They'll beat them. I like the New Mexico State one. I was going through all these teams. Yeah, when I was going through all these team schedules, New Mexico State was the one that clicked to me. Like, the team's going to be awful compared to what they were. Like, Pavia and those guys that they lost, they were everything to them. So they're going to be a huge drop-off team. New coaching staff, I believe, there too.
They'll win one of Jacksonville State, Kennesaw State. They'll win one of those road games.
Yes,
probably Kennesaw.
We're going to talk about Kennesaw.
Jacksonville State. I don't like this year though.
Yeah, we're going to talk. I have them losing to Jacksonville State, but I don't think I have Kennesaw State. We'll talk about them. They're going to be awful.
I mean, yeah, Andy said it pretty much. I mean, last year, like Kyle said, they upset UConn, they upset North Texas. I know it's UConn and North Texas, but
UConn's not an upset. UConn,
but that's huge for the program, though. I mean, FIU has been 9-32 the last 4 years. So I mean, I really think they have a shot at a bowl this year, probably finishing in the 6-6 range. I mean, right now Conference USA is just not that good. I mean, I know they're improving, but they're going to be favored by more than two games this year. They were only favored by 2 all of last year. They have the 127th hardest schedule out of 134. So. I mean, I know FIU's not good. I'm not trying to hype them up, but I'm just saying they have 8 returning starters on offense, and with McIntyre's third year, he can actually get his recruits going. So it's going to be an improvement. I think Jenkins is going to have a top 3 QB stat-wise in the conference. So.
Stat-wise, maybe.
The
film won't look great.
Their defense needs to not. Their defense was pretty decent for the first. Like, obviously, their schedule got tougher. Pretty decent. They give up 41.5 points per game the final 4 games of the year. On average, they can't do that again, and their schedule is going to get pretty tough again. They're going to have the Jacksonville State game, which we don't know. They're going to play Middle Tennessee late in the season. That Liberty game is obviously going to be very tough. So they're going to have a lot of quarterbacks that they're going to have to stop. They can't do what they did last year defensively. They fell off a cliff last year, so they're probably going to start 0-3 as well. So that they're going to have to bounce back from that. But I think they will win 5 games. I'd lean more on winning 5 games than I'd go winning 4. I think there will be some tight ones.
Agreed. Can you do live win totals live throughout the season? Because maybe wait till they go 0-3 and then take it to over 3.5.
I think you can. I think you can. Yeah, they're starting 0-3 though. I mean,
Indiana.
I will say you're gonna hear me probably. You're gonna hear me week 1, and you're gonna. I'm probably gonna try to talk you into taking them to cover the spread against Indiana because Indiana's gonna be awful to me. But that will be. I don't know if that game's out. Some games are. Obviously, a lot of games are. But I would guess that spread's like in the
20.5.
20. Yeah, I'll probably take FIU in that one.
Nah. All right, let's go on to Jacksonville State.
Probably being on Indiana, on FIU there.
All right, Gamecock time.